Hey guys, Jen here. Just going to do a quick edit on a sunset photo. This was taken in Africa. The sun falls quickly. You know, we always try to get that nice underexposed look, and in this case it went too far. I'm losing too much of the light over here when in fact the sky, as you can tell by the pink, was still lit. However, I've lost that glow from this side. I've also have no evidence of anything on the grass, so I definitely made a few mistakes here. But not all is lost. There is ways that we can start to try to bring some of this back. So we're going to start with trying to lighten up this really dark part underneath here. I'm going to take my gradient tool pretty much to the edge of that ground and then start to come up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to lift up on those shadows. If you clear the effect, anytime that you're using any of these brushes, you start from scratch and you always get the opportunity to change your mind. So you see when I lift the shadows, it starts to come up. Now, if I go into clarity, you're going to see that this also starts to bring stuff up, but it's bringing it up in places I don't want it to. So that's a problem. Very easily could be another brush to do just in the section I want it to affect. So let's try if we bring up the white balance and warm it up. That really helps. Unfortunately, it's affecting all of this too much. So let's bring that gradient down so that we're only affecting this small little bit of the sky and we're really hitting our ground. Now, if I take the clarity into that, what I'm watching is that I'm watching that real subtle line where the sky is to make sure that I'm not ruining things right in here. And I don't mind that at all. This actually looks quite real to what the experience is like. I am going to increase my noise a little bit though, because this does get extremely, extremely noisy. I'm also going to treat the entire image to a little bit of color noise reduction as well. I'll reduce that sharpness just to try to blur this up a little bit. Ultimately, it's not going to make a huge difference. I don't want to defringe or anything. I don't want to lose the color because that was the whole point, to make it real. So over this area, we're still awfully dark. I'm now going to bring my radial circle. I'm going to clear the effects and I'm going to put it just over this section right here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the same things. I'm going to see what happens with my shadows. I can bring up shadows. If I touch that exposure just a wee little bit, I don't want to go too much. I want it to be very balanced to the rest here. And I'm kind of digging that. I like the way that looks. So I'm going to close off that circle. When you're looking at the actual background itself, that left-hand side, as I said, is much darker than it is on this side. So I'm going to bring in a radial circle just to deal with this particular side. Clearing the effects that may be on there. And I'm going to now increase my highlights. I'm going to work on highlights and whites because I don't really want it affecting that ground, which is going to be full of shadows and darks, right? So that seems to be working well. But I want to work on that white balance a little bit because I really want to match those tones. So really warming that up seems to be helping. And then I can also look at my saturation and see how that needs to be adjusted to complement the stuff on the other side. Not too bad. So you can look, we can see a whole lot of noise. It's still very dark. This side is much darker in the blue than it is up here. So let's go ahead and try the gradient. And we'll just try to use this over the blue. We can try highlights. Only seems to be affecting the center and the right side. That's not what we want. We want something that's going to be much more uniform. So maybe it's in the shadows. And this is, you don't necessarily know where your darks and your lights are happening, and this is a great way to figure it out. So we can see it's really only happening on the left-hand side. That's fine. I'll take it. We can also see if our white balance is going to make a difference one way or the other. If it is, you use it. If it's not, you return it. That's the beautiful thing, is you never make any permanent decisions until you want to. There's still a bit of a color mix-up. Lightness coming really high here. Nothing up here. So I am going to do another radial circle. Maybe just right in here. Let's try our whites and see what happens. Okay, well that seems to be working. You can tell the difference. The question is it making too much visible? So the nice thing about these is they do feather off quite nicely. The trick is having it feather at the right point in the right way. So by removing it, we can look and think, well, you know what? It looks actually pretty gradual, and that's kind of what we were going for. So I'm pretty pleased with that. There's maybe still a little bit more work that could be done in here on a brightness scale, especially right in behind here. So I'm just playing with white balance. I'm not liking, I can kind of see some funny colors happening here. I'm going to hit the brush option on my gradient option key to make a minus, and I'm just going to minus off what's kind of happening over top of these branches. Might just be my eyes, but it was bugging me. So the other thing I want to do now is I want to illuminate this tree a little bit. You know, it's very, very dark. So I'm just going to use my basic adjustment brush. I'm going to clear my effects. I'm going to come in with lightened on shadows. I'm going to come up with my clarity. Oops, not texture. Don't need that. And I'm being very severe here because I want to see the change that I'm making as I make it. So I'm going to zoom in so I get a little bit better view. Definitely in this case, the auto mask, we're going to have that checked because that means when I go over, it's only going to affect the tree and it's not going to go into the light section, because wherever that plus sign is what it's going to work on, and it's going to keep it uniform into that area, so it's not going to spill over. If I took that check mark off, I would actually be applying lightening, shadows, and clarity to the actual sky portion, which I definitely do not want to be doing. So we're just going to go over and we're going to draw over all portions of the tree. I'm going to speed it up for you so you don't have to sit here and watch me painfully. Okay, so I've gone over those sections. If you want to see exactly what you've done, you can click for your adjustment brush. You can see the spot where you started, select it, and if you hover over there, it's automatically going to show you everything you've drawn on. So if there's any sections that you don't want affected, then you can go ahead and remove those right now. Like if I wanted the sections that along the tree here, so I can click O and it's going to keep that red on there for me. My option key, minus, and then I'm just going to minus it off the section beside the tree that I didn't mean to do. Anywhere you didn't want to hit it, this is your way to remove it. You know, what I'm doing right now, it's like, does it even matter? Probably not. It's too white in here. So what I want to do is I want to minus off, and I just want to clear some of that off a little bit. I don't want all those bright spots looking the way they do. It's a little bit too much, but you can see now I have a bunch of little speckles. So I need to take my healing brush, and we're just going to go around now, and we are going to see any little places where we have these little weird anomaly highlights happening, and just make them go away, because all they do is they draw your eye there, and it's an attention to detail of a detail that's actually you don't want, that doesn't matter. So I hope you're getting kind of the whole principle behind this is how you can use, you know, some of these adjustment brushes, you know, to really kind of fine tune an image in a way that is going to make sense to you, is going to look the way you wanted it to look. It's going to help you kind of deliver what it is that you're trying to, you know, we want to salvage as much of our images as possible. These are our memories. And every time that we shoot them incorrectly, I mean, you know, it can be some of your most outstanding moments. And if you can't show somebody because you're ashamed that they're going to judge that you didn't do it right, or it's kind of missing that certain something that you wanted it to have, you know, we want to be able to recover those the best that we can. So at least it's, you know, let's make it Instagram worthy, or, you know, just sharing with friends worthy. I think that's not a lot to ask. So overall, this is looking much better. What I am going to do though, because this actually isn't as much correction as I would have liked, I'm going to highlight on that again. And I'm going to look at increasing that white balance. See, already that brings it up some more. I'm just looking for ways to increase the lightness without, you know, playing with that exposure too much. So whites does have an effect, so I'm going to max out those whites as well. And then we'll see when we go into exposure, I'm just going to go very ever so slightly. And already I don't like what it's doing. So I'm going to stay away from that exposure button. I don't like it. It's not working. We try what happens with texture. Oh, see, texture starts to bring some stuff out. I'm just not sure if I like what it's bringing out. I don't think so. So we'll go with just a little bit of that. If we try to lighten the blacks, it gives it this foggy look. Can we counter that with the dehaze? Not really. It's not looking good. And this is what we do, you know, we just try, you know, what do they say? You throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. That's what we're doing. We're throwing it at the wall. Yeah, some of these things, no effect, which is fine. So I think overall, I'm pretty happy with that. You know, it's not an award-winning photo, and we're not trying to make it one. So we just get rid of the little distractions, because we did create a couple more in there. Every time you do these adjustments, you run this risk, which is fine. I have more time than I do money, so I can sit here all day and heel brush all my little imperfections away. Yeah, see, and I probably went too hard on some of this. I would probably reduce some of it. One of the other things we can do here is we can change the profile. And you can see when you hover over, it gives it a much different appearance. So that's a quick and easy way without touching any sliders to get a particular look if you like that. So pretty vibrant here, maybe a little bit too much, but you know what? I don't care. I'm happy with it. We're going to add some noise reduction and some color noise reduction just to try to get rid of some of that, make this a little bit more blended and blurry. It's definitely an improvement. One thing I can do is get rid of these here. Those were electric fences that if someone's like me, you'd notice it and say, what is that? And that's because we lived in a Big 5 game area and animals could just come wandering in, and you don't necessarily want that to happen. Not that it didn't, because it did. Okay, we're almost done here. I find this is still too dark. It's bothering me. I've done other versions before that I'm much happier with. So I am going to radial brush. I'm going to come in the center. See, even that immediately I'm liking better. I'm hating what it's doing up here, but I'm liking the rest. Of course, we're going to get rid of all the effects. We're going to start from scratch. Just want to go after these highlights, and I want to brighten that up. What a difference that makes immediately. I do want to favor some of the area over here, as well as bringing this up a little bit there. I'm going to see if I add in a little bit of purple, and this guy actually it was a real melody of all these colors. And let's maybe look for a little bit of whites. There we go. So this is more, I think, what I had in mind than what we had just a minute ago. So I'm going to stick with this. This is probably my final answer. Let's just see what we can do with this bottom bit, just to bring it to life a little bit more. Drop that effect. Bring up those shadows. Bring up some more of that clarity. Whites. There we go. Much happier with this. This is my final answer. Hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.